Over the holidays, I decided to make paper out of recycled scraps. As I went about this endeavor, I heard a few phrases from my parents, my brother, and my friends. Paper out of paper, isn't that just doing nothing? I can just buy you some paper if you want, followed by a chuckle or two. What is going to be so special about this paper? Looking back, those questions and statements were only a little valid. Because when I was spending a good hour in a thrift store searching for 2 picture frames that actually fit together and an old blender that didn't have weird goop in it, or when I was reading dozens of articles about papermaking, or when I was wandering around my local hardware store looking for an old window screen, the final product was not crossing my mind at all. Instead, I was excited about the process. I just wanted to make something. I wanted the act of doing it. I craved the feeling of creating. These days, the feeling is easy to lose. We see something we want, and with the click of a button, it arrives at our door. There's minimal waiting, a lack of effort, and no understanding of how it came to be in our hands. Paper especially feels invisible and valueless. Its purpose has declined with the rise of computers and tablets, the tip-tapping of keyboards and screens replacing the scratching of pencils and pens. It is easy to forget that the humans before us did not have that luxury of sharing their thoughts on such a mass scale and with insane ease. If they wanted to record something, they had to mark tree bark, carve clay tablets, or painstakingly prepare papyrus or parchment. They were lucky to write at all, lucky if they could even access the materials. The earliest known paper dates back to around 200 BCE in China, where a prayer was etched into an adobe brick. Back then, and for a long time after, paper was reserved for the government or the very wealthy. No common girl was able to write and record their thoughts on the world. What a time for me to be alive. Nowadays, everyone can write and record their thoughts. Does that make writing more or less meaningful? A question I avoid for now, since here I am starting a YouTube channel assuming my thoughts are important or interesting enough for someone else to listen to them. Anyways, I went on with the process. And the process was tedious. Truly, deeply tedious. On day 0, preparation day, I made my mold and decal. I stripped the picture frames to bare wooden squares, removing the glass, photos, and backing. One frame became my mold after I stapled a piece of window screen to it. The other was my decal. I constantly mixed up the names because in my opinion, the molding portion should be called the mold. That night, I soaked shredded documents my mother had spent hours destroying earlier that day. What better way to hide secrets than turning them into paper to write new whispers on? It's like burying a body in a cemetery. And then, on day 1, I blended the soaked paper into pulp until I smelled smoke coming from the thrift store blender. I unplugged it immediately, hoping my parents wouldn't notice, and prayed the pulp was mixed enough to continue. I poured the mixture into a large bin, added water, and stirred it like I was making soup for a family of 10 in medieval times. Then I tried to form paper using the mold and decal, transferring each fragile sheet onto cloth to dry. Pride being the key word, because I failed, and failed again. But then, I failed some more. The mixture was too thick, then too thin. The sheets tore while placing them on the cloth. Making something simple turned out to be incredibly intricate. It was slow, painstaking work, but it brought a small yet grand revelation to me. With machines and mass production, the process of making has largely disappeared from our lives. In a generation raised on TikToks, Reels, Amazon, and instant answers from Google and AI, the act of slow creation is being more and more lost. I wonder if everyone had to make their own paper, they would think differently about how they use it. And if we had to make our own clothes, maybe we would pause before clicking order, thinking about the hands, often children's hands, doing that labor for us across the ocean. And then, finally, I didn't fail. When the sheet dried and I peeled it away the morning after, I stared at it in awe. I made that paper, I created it. Then I wondered, what could possibly be worthy of it? What words deserve to be written here? I slowed down, I thought carefully about meaning, intention, and use. And that on its own was beautiful. In a world of constant consumption and media oversaturation, I was slowed down and really pondered about what it meant to use a single piece of paper.